Hello there. My name is Olatunji Shobodu, founder and CEO Emet Leadership Academy, where we nurture leaders based on truth. Based on truth. We're passionate about leadership. And today I want to speak to 5 ways by which you can know that you are on course in your leadership assignment. 5 ways to know that you are doing well as a leader. 5 ways. 5 indicators that show you that you are on track in your conduct of leadership. Now, let me say up front that these are indicators. They do not establish the fact that you have succeeded. They are only signposts suggesting that success is in view and that if you continue that way, you're likely to be successful. All right? The measure of success is something entirely different. That's something that I'll deal with in another, video. But in this course, I'll speak directly to those 5 ways and confirm why they are good indicators that you are on the right track. There's some of us who are challenged. Perhaps, we are not new to formal leadership roles. Perhaps, yes, we are smart and we get results. We're high flyers, but we haven't made our mark in the area of leadership. All right, while we were on our own or working as part of a team, we were excellent. We could be counted on to deliver on our targets, on our goals. We were go-getters. But since we have been assigned responsibility for leading others, we're feeling uncomfortable. We're on a new turf. We're not even sure what the measures of success, are. And maybe because of what we see around us, we're unsure whether we are doing leadership the way it should be done. Um, and so you're right to want to know, how do I know whether I am on the right track, whether I am doing leadership right? Let me start with number one. Number one indicator that you are doing well, you are on the right track, is when your people, all right, receive illumination, when their eyes are opened, when they have encounters with knowledge and learning that make them to say things like, oh, we never saw it in this fashion. We never saw it in this fashion. That means that they have come to a new understanding. They have come to a new perspective, to appreciate a new perspective. They have come to see that things that they were used to doing can be done differently and perhaps in a way that is more effective than what they have been used to. They have seen value added to them via the vehicle of knowledge and learning. They are struck by the fact that you were instrumental to, you know, them coming to that appreciation. All right. You have taken them to a new level. All right. Something like that they are not likely to forget. Is an indication that you have added value to their lives. To the extent that they have seen a new perspective, they are being transformed. It's unlikely that somebody, and indeed people who have such encounters, will do things differently. All right, will go back to the old ways because that's an expression of, joy, of satisfaction. That's an expression of some pleasure that arose from the fact that, the person appreciates that he's receiving value. Value is being added to him or her. And that's important because leaders must add value. And one of the ways that leaders add value is through the transfer of knowledge, is through facilitation of learning, is through such encounters. They bring their people to a place of encounter where they are able to see things differently. And it could be them sharing their wealth of experience or sharing their wealth of knowledge or sharing that disposition that they have to search out truths, principles, to continue to improve themselves out of their commitment to challenging those who follow them, all right, as a way of bringing out the best in them. That's one signpost that you are on the right track in your leadership assignment, in your conduct of leadership. We have never seen it in this fashion. I didn't know that you could also do it this way. Oh, this is even better than the way we used to do it. That's an indication that something is happening, that transformation is already in process, and you need to continue that, all right, to ensure that the full benefits of transformation that leadership offers is delivered into the lives of your people. So that's number one. Number two is when your people ask you to teach them something of significance that they have observed in you. Maybe it's the way that you do something. Maybe it's the approach that you bring to a problem that always ensures that it is solved. Maybe it is the fact that you don't get scared, but you are challenged. Maybe it is the fact that in the face of challenges, you seem to be in control. You're at peace. All right. There are things that they notice in you. They are instructive, to your conduct. They appear to be sources of empowerment, that make you stay on top of your game. It reminds me of when, at a point came and the followers of Jesus said, Lord, teach us to pray. It was a very instructive statement. Why did they make that plea? Why did they make that request? Up till that time, they had not been taught how to pray. But one thing was clear. They observed that act of prayer was a unique aspect of the personality and the modus operandi of their leader. They knew that their leader had a routine. They knew that their leader did that particular thing consistently. And they knew that their leader, seemed like an unusual person with unusual capabilities. And in their observation, they 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 knew, they perceived that this thing that this man does so regularly, so consistently in a structured fashion, it must have something to do with, you know, his competence, how he conducts himself, why people listen to him, and all of that. So they got to that point. They wanted that thing. They wanted to also reflect, that attribute. They wanted to walk that path. They could see that the beauty of having that as part of, you know, uh, their own routine. And so they said, Lord, teach us to pray. Now, that's an indication of progress because they had observed the leader to the point where they could pinpoint that these aspects of how the leader conducts himself is so important, and they need it as well. It will help them as well. They wanted it. Said, teach us to pray. So when you have your people making such demands in any area, sir, how do you do this? We have observed that when issues like this come up, this is what you normally do. This is how you react. Teach us to do the same. Teach us to do the same. Is an indication that you're making progress. Guess what? In that situation, the master yielded. He granted them their request spontaneously without even asking, what did you see? Why do you want it? In our day and age, we will bombard our followers with questions. Why are you asking me that? Why is that of interest to you? So you want to be doing something like I'm doing, as if they are not supposed to do what you are doing, to develop the same capabilities. And that way, instead of getting excited that this is progress, this is an indication of the willingness of the people to imitate me, which is an important aspect of leadership. We will get upset. We will miss the opportunity and we will discourage the people. And then we turn around and wonder why we are not having an influence on them. Because when they saw something, when they came for it, when they asked us for it, we didn't respond appropriately. Our response was irresponsible. But a leader, you are the model for the people. They ought to be observing you. They ought to be trying to read you like a book. They ought to be trying to decipher your mode of operation so that they can learn from it, so that they can develop their own skills from it, so that they can build capacity like you from it. That's why. And when that is taking place, you are changing them, you are transforming them, you are imparting them, you are pouring gifts into them, you are building their skills, you are building their competence. Isn't that what leadership is about? So that's the second indication that there is progress being made. Number 3, when your people understand the significance of your words, when they have made up their mind based on what they hear you say, they have made up their minds to follow you. They have made up their minds to commit to you. They understand the value that they are going to get from you. That's a big indication of progress. There was a time that it happened that some of the disciples of Jesus left, and he turned around and looked at the ones that remained, and he said, "Aren't you guys going to leave as well?" And they said, "Sir, to whom are we going to go? You have the words of eternal life." What does that say? Those were people whose mind were made up about who they were following. Those were people who were committed to following their leader. And they knew exactly. They weren't doing it out of sentiment. They weren't even doing it because of the leader. They were doing it because they understood what was on offer from the leader. Say, you, sir, you have the words that change lives. You have the words capable of transforming our lives. You are the one in possession of the truth that we need. We understand your words are not ordinary words. Your words have the power to transform us, to accomplish transformation in our lives. He said, where are we going? Who else are we going to be looking for? Who has the kind of thing that we are seeing in you, sir, which we know offers value to us? So we rather stay here. We are committed to following you. The same man, who answered on behalf of his colleagues, Peter, said in another occasion, he said, "Sir, we have left everything to follow you." Can you see commitment? Can you see progress? Every leader wants that to happen. Indeed, until that happens, you are not on the way to success. Until people that you are leading commit to following you, which comes out of believing in you. Until they commit to trust you, you can't influence their lives. You can't impart any value that you have into them. They can't benefit anything from you, because you must believe in the leader. You must be committed to what the leader has to say. You must be not only willing, you must be ready to obey the instructions, to follow the guidance, to be led by the directions that the leader gives. So these guys knew. He says, "Sir, we've left everything to follow you." And it's not a mistake. We have expectations. We know that following you will deliver value. And their leader told them, yes, anyone who has left, who has made these sacrifices and committed themselves to following, just like you have done, there's a reward. Here and now, there are two dimensions of rewards. There's a change of encounter, and there is an increase in value. All right, so that's number 3. It's a sign of great progress. You want your people to get to that point on your journey with them, your leadership journey with them. It indicates that they are ready to begin to draw from you. They are ready to yield to you, to influence them. They are ready to be transformed. And that's not a place that any leader gets to very easily. That place eludes many leaders. So much so that, yes, they have people following, but they are not committed in any way. And so they wonder, why is it that they are not able to influence their people? Why is it that their people are not reflecting, some of their own competence, despite all that they are doing, including teaching them? They have not got to the point of conviction. They have not got to the point where they know exactly and they have made up their minds exactly about the value that you have to offer them. So that's an indication of success as well. Now, there is also another indication, number 4. Now, this, when you give them a responsibility and they get it done, but they are celebrating the less important result, all right, in which case their priorities are not quite right. Their focus is not on the most important thing, it's on the form rather than the substance. Now, the way that is a good indicator is that the fact that they are able to get the task you have given or the instruction you have given, that they're able to get the task accomplished is positive. But then you ask for a report and they say, sir, this is what we have done. In fact, based on all the instruction you gave us, based on all that you have taught us, the results were wonderful. Here it is, sir. And you observe it. Said, in fact, we didn't know that we could get this kind of results. And they start, getting excited. But when you then see the result, you see that they may be celebrating the result, but the true result, what that result fetches them, is what they ought to be celebrating. They ought to wait for the endorsement of their master, of their leader. They ought to wait to see whether their leader is satisfied, not be driven by the fact that, by what they consider to be the result. Let me give an example, again, from the Bible. Sometime, Jesus delegated power and responsibility to his disciples. He sent them out in pairs to go and do what he would do, all right, at different locations. And so when they all came back, they asked for their results. They presented their report cards. And they had demonstrated so much power. They had gotten such results that they were very excited. They came and said, sir, even the demons were subject to us in your name. You understand? They were excited by the fact that, they did exactly what they were told to do. They didn't quite emphasize the people who got healed. They didn't quite wait to see whether the leader would be satisfied at their report. They were already jubilant. And then the leader said to them, yeah, it's true. I saw Satan fall like lightning. He said, but, which was an opportunity to teach, to draw their attention to the substance rather than the form. They could have gone astray, even although they had results to show. Results just like the master would obtain in the same situation. But they weren't to get carried away. They were to have waited to hear what the master would say before celebrating. They were celebrating prematurely. It was all good because their report and their entire conduct revealed to the master where they were still missing it, showed the master what their weaknesses were, and he took advantage of that. He saw that and he corrected them. Progress. So he said to them, you shouldn't get excited by the fact that demons were subject to you. You should get excited by the fact that your name is written in heaven, meaning that you should get excited about my approval of your result, of your report card. When I'm happy, you have done well. Until that happens, until you receive that, exercise caution. Don't miss the boat. They had already missed the boat. Can you see that? That's number 4. That's progress. Every time you delegate and they bring a report back to you, somewhere in there, you get to know how much progress your people are making by the results they produce, by the quality of their report card. And then you are able to fill in the gaps for even greater progress. So that next time, they won't make the kind of, they won't, they'll be properly focused, their priorities will be right. And they're on their way to becoming like you. They're on their way to becoming credible successors. And that's progress. That's progress. Number 5, another indication of progress is that there are times that your followers will overrate themselves. So they have worked with you for a while, they have seen you do some great things, get some wonderful results. And they believe they have worked closely enough with you. And in the process, they have also, increased in stature, in competence. They are more skillful. They can handle a few things. All right? But when you then warn them about mistakes that could still occur, about vulnerable moments that could still arise, and why they need to be careful, why they need to watch, they feel that maybe you don't have confidence in that. They may even boast, just like Peter did when his master told him, while he was busy boasting, that I'm ready to die with you. That's how committed I am. And he said to Peter, he said, look, before the cock crows today, you're going to deny me 3 times. So you can imagine the contrast. A man who was claiming that he had gotten to the point where he was sold out to his master. And the master saying, you are not quite there yet. You will be humiliated in less than 24 hours. One had overrated himself, but the master could see through him and knew, yes, you are making progress, but you are not there yet. And of course, what the master said was going to happen, happened. How many times do we do that? When some of your people think that, yes, they have been with you, been around you, learned a lot from you, and so they can handle a lot of things to the point that they start boasting. It's also an indication that you're making progress. Why? Because that encounter shows them that they have made progress, but they are overrating themselves. And they need to settle down to learn more, because there is still much more to learn. They are still weak in areas. They are still too vulnerable and may not be ready yet to step into the shoes of the leader. And it's good for them to humble themselves. So experiences like that are good for your people to humble themselves. And humility is crucial. It's one of the things that leaders must develop in their successors. So you can see that as, I think that's the faith. I think that's the faith. Let me give you 1 or 2 quick ones just to round up as a bonus. Number 6, progress is being made. You are doing well when your people know exactly who you are. Who do men say that I am? Who do you say that I am? Those were the questions that Jesus put to his disciples at a particular point. He wanted to know. Well, those who are not walking with me, they can say whatever they like. But you, who do you say that I am? That is, do you understand me? Do you know who I am? Have you been able to figure out my identity? Do you really know what's on offer for you? Do you know who you are working with and what you stand against? Those were the things. And it is vital that your people know you, because it sets their expectation in terms of what you have to offer them. What you have to offer them is what you carry. If they don't know it, they can't appreciate it, how can they position themselves to take advantage of it, to receive it? So this was very crucial. And again, Peter answered on behalf of his people. He said, we know you. You are Christ, the Son of the living God. And the master was excited. He said, you are blessed. He said, now let me tell you what is on offer for you. So that's it. Do your people know you? When they get to the point where they know you, great progress, sir. Great progress. Great progress. Then you close the gap in terms of their expectation. You close the gap such that they are not expecting one thing while you can only deliver, while you are only promising something else. That gap doesn't bode well for leadership. Finally, there was a time, and this number 7, so 2 bonus, when the disciples of Jesus were embarrassed because a case was brought to them and they couldn't handle the case. Now, that was before they were given power, where they said the demons were answering to them. But there was this case where a man brought his son possessed by a demon and they couldn't handle it. Obviously, they must have handled situations like that before. And that probably was why the man approached them and didn't go to their leader. He felt, I don't have to bother the leader with this kind of problem. These guys should be able to handle it. But the guys couldn't handle it. And they were embarrassed. Ultimately, he had to take the matter to their master. And then their master said, come on, guys. How come you couldn't handle this? How long am I going to be with you? I expected you to be able to deal with this. Okay, so bring the guy. And the master solved the problem. And that created an opportunity for them to learn. Why did we not get this particular case correct? Meaning they had been doing it before. They may have thought that they knew what to do, but here was a slightly different. There was a complication in this case. And their master said, and they asked once again, they asked the master an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to grow. He said, why did we not get it right this time? Does that sound familiar when you're dealing with your people, working with them? Sir, we've been doing this thing before. Ma, why is this prove to be challenging? Why couldn't we get it right? Is this not like what we've been doing before? That was the limit of the progress and the development that they had seen under you. And so the master had the opportunity to upgrade their knowledge. He said, this kind, meaning that there are the various types. You haven't fully understood this issue. Yes, you've accomplished a couple of things, and that's good, but you still need to learn more before you are ready to handle any type that could come your way. He said, this kind, it doesn't go except by fasting and praying. That is, you have to add something else to what you used to do so that you can build the capacity to handle situations like this. What a lesson. So the master was doing well. Although he felt a bit disappointed, but he filled in the gap. And the followers were smart enough to ask him the question. So you are looking for evidence that you are making progress with your people, that you are leading right. Not that you have completed your assignment, not that you have succeeded as a leader as yet, but that you are on the route to success. Those are seven, two bonuses I added. 7 ways, 7 things to look out for. When you see that, draw confidence in that and keep at it. And keep at it. Draw confidence in them and keep at it. You can lead well, you can succeed. These are some of the things, some of the pointers to keep yourself on track in this all important leadership assignment. So, there it is. Emet Leadership Academy and myself were there to help. If there are things you do not understand, you want to book a call with me, please go ahead and do that. If there are things I haven't spoken to, squarely in the area of leadership or maybe even office politics, and you have concerns, you need coaching or mentoring, we have programs that I'm sure will fit one of your needs or the other. All we do is leadership, nurturing leaders through the power that is contained in truths. And there is the class of 12, where we deal with 12 brutal truths of leadership. When you lay hold on them, you understand them, you practice them, you put your leadership on a solid foundation, such that no one can rubbish you, such that no situation can derail your efforts, such that guarantees your success in any leadership assignment at any level. We call it the class of 12. 12 brutal truths handled by a cohort led by me, professionals, over 12 weeks. We'll cover the grounds and we'll teach you how to conduct your leadership assignment along those lines. And you'll be glad you did. Olatunji Shobodu is my name once again. Emet Leadership Academy, where we nurture competent and true leaders based on the word of truth. Based on truth. God bless you.